All right, welcome back, folks. Um, it's 4 a.m. You might be able to hear the birds outside. Or am I hallucinating those? I'm assuming it's loud enough for you guys to pick it up, but you never know. There's a few things that I've had on here. One of them, I was having a conversation with a feller, and his voice was so slight, like I had to borrow somebody's speakers to attach to my computer so that I could boost the volume all the way up on the parts where I knew that he was speaking, but I couldn't hear it. God, if he watches this fucking video, is gonna think I'm fucking schizo and talking to myself. So, within my community, there's a lot I can do to change. I can continue to speak out, although because of what happened to Natalie and how the police treated me afterwards, well, it's a pretty screwed up situation. There's at least 8 to 10 civilians in this town that also took part in covering up the crimes of these officers. Most of them work at the courthouse. When you keep changing the rules, it doesn't matter if a person tries to follow your rules when you are the one who's making them up as you go along. And I've recorded enough to show that, yes, absolutely, the police have been doing this. Now, there's something I've spoken about a lot. A lot of the, all right, actually, all of the issues, every single issue that we've got going on right now, I've been speaking out about for years. Why? Because they all tie together and I had to grow up with it all. There's a video on here. It says, City cops arrest sheriff. Mind you, if I play it, then you guys won't be able to hear it if I play it on my computer. But if I play it on my phone, then you will. It's called City Cops Arrest Sheriff for Corruption. And it's all in caps, and it was dated for May 28th, 2020. It shows officers doing to the same thing, or doing the same thing to, sorry, deputies doing the same thing to police officers that the deputies here in this town did to me. This happens all over the place. A lot of people are wanting to make these racist issues. They're absolutely not. That's not to say that race is not a part of it at all, because it absolutely is. But the thing is that race is a byproduct of the problem, well, in this situation of police corruption. And we do need to separate that. There's a big difference between being a white person and being a police officer. Yes, there are plenty of white people who want to pretend that racism doesn't exist. Those are racist people. That is how you identify a racist. They pretend racism doesn't exist. That's their excuse for being racist, right there. I can't be racist, I'm black. Oh, yeah, sure. Try pulling that with Waylon Lolatai. Anyway, right here. This right here is from a lady, and I'm going to scroll it up so it doesn't show you her name. She's uh, not into men, and that's fine. But the lady that she posted up, her name is Nick at Demigoddess Nick. Demigoddess. You know, I noticed that most of the people typing stuff like that are black women. If it says goddess, it's probably a black woman. Is that a stereotype? Actually, it's an observation. Um, Mostly because I've got like 8 or 9 black women on my Facebook who call themselves demigoddess, and I don't see it elsewhere. And no, I'm not trying to say that black women are terrible people because of this. It's just an observation. Does that mean that there's no white women out there like that? Hell, there's probably millions. But the point is what she typed here. It's biggest pet peeve. People trying to tell me who I am, what I meant, or what I need to do. It's okay for her to say that, I hope. I certainly hope that I would be okay with that, being as I've said the same thing over and over and over and over. Although that's not my biggest pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve is dead bodies. Y'all are fucking gross with that shit. Glorifying killing, glorifying it in movies, glorifying it on fucking recruiting posters for the United States military. Fucking gross. I just wanted to point that out before I started getting into this video here, and I, of course, will have to type that up on my telephone in order to make it work. Rape is absolutely disgusting. I was raped as a child, and you goddamn right I speak out. I've been speaking out for 30 years, just nobody would listen. One of these guys that I was trying to work with, he's a fucking skeezer and a half. His name is Darren O'Connor. He pretends like he's out to help the homeless. He didn't help the homeless. He pretended that he was gonna, before Natalie was killed, mind you, he pretended that he was gonna help me to get cameras so that I could record other people's stories. And I got all that in text message, or all that in Facebook Messenger with him. Oh shit, was that a fucking menthol? Sure enough. Green stripe. That's a menthol. Not like a horse's ass. John Doe, you absolutely may ask questions. There's somebody named John Doe who's typing questions on the side. Um, Hopefully it'll allow my live chat after this video so that John can go back with any questions that he forgets. Also, John, I will probably ignore you for a bit while I'm going through this video, but that's not to say that I will completely ignore you. Natalie Marie Bollinger. I'll type her name in here. Natalie was my best friend, but she was on drugs. She did fucked up things. She was my best friend. That's all right. I was chuckling because you typed that who is Natalie to you right after I answered. So she was shot in the head and I got blamed for it. Police did a lot of really messed up things. John Doe typed who is Natalie to you, and then I'm so sorry. Then he typed and she died question mark. And he typed my best friend died 5 years ago. And then he typed holy shit. What do you mean holy shit? You mean like you poked it with a stick? Well, cool. John Doe types, I'm just behind you, my man. Well, John Doe, Hopefully you're talking about the lag on the computer and not standing behind me. But if you are standing behind me at my horse trailer, I hope you got a gun and I hope you pull the trigger. So I'm gonna type this in. We're already 10 minutes into the video and I haven't even into this video and I haven't even started on. Alright, we'll type YouTube. Alright. And then we will go to, whoa, sorry. I'm sorry, I got gas, folks. That was me flatulating. Let's see. City cops. Arrest sheriff. Alright, here's one of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holy shit, there are a lot of these. Rio Arriba. Holy shit. We hit the fucking mother load on this. What we're talking about here is the arrest of Sheriff. I will go through it.
It will be interesting to see what, if any.
This is at the end of the video, of course, because.
Is working harder than ever to keep pros
Shit. I'm sorry about the advertisements, folks. I don't know how to make my thing monetary or to monetize my YouTube, but even if I did, I wouldn't want to. I don't want a bunch of advertisements on here. This is supposed to help people out, and a lot of people, they see an advertisement and they're like, fuck, I'm clicking over this shit. It says audit the audit.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers search warrants, officer privilege, and departmental corruption, and is brought to us by Fire and Police Videos' channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On the evening of March 22nd, 2020, Espanola, New Mexico resident Philip Chacon barricaded himself into his home after the Espanola Police Department attempted to make contact with him regarding a stabbing incident which occurred earlier that day. The Espanola PD surrounded the house and began issuing orders for Mr. Chacon to surrender peacefully. Shortly after the incident began, Rio Arriba Sheriff James Lujan arrived on the scene in plain clothes and attempted to order the Espanola.
All right. I noticed that John Doe is up here typing some asshole type stuff. Probably doesn't mean it as an asshole. He types, who really shot Natalie? His name is Joseph Michael Lopez. And he typed, better put them in. That one, this one typed hello. That one, this one typed, what the fuck, John Doe? John Doe typed, in which city? That one, this one typed, hi, Sean. Hi, that one, this one. Good to see you again. John Doe typed, thanks. And I've seen that, and no, not meaning to be rude at all. We need to get into this video, though. I'm gonna do some comparing with this video and the situation that I've been in, because this is nationwide, folks. It's not, these aren't secluded incidents. The thing that makes these incidents actually secluded is the fact that they were recorded. Because had they not been recorded, these officers would have actually gotten away with murder.
City police officers to leave the scene.
Yeah, yes. Bring who in?
Phil Chacon? That's who you have a warrant for?
Right.
pull everybody out. I'll bring them in. Huh?
I want to pull them back.
Excuse me? I'm not asking. I'm telling you. I will bring him in. Okay? We don't need to make this bigger than what it is.
At that point, that sheriff there, that's a position I would have been very uncomfortable with for good reason. In that particular situation, I would not have been comfortable with that sheriff at all. I would not have complied with his order either. These police officers here did not comply with his order. We'll continue though.
Hey, the
The
sheriff
best stuff
pulled
is
in,
later on.
and he's asking us to pull back, and he'll pull him in, but he's been drinking. I can smell it on him. We're gonna need somebody, huh? Yeah. Okay, we need to pull somebody over.
Our last sheriff in this town that I am aware of before Scott DaCosta was Jeff Taco Ortiz. Everybody in town calls him Taco, even his wife calls him Taco. It's weird. He doesn't look like a taco, he looks like a dumpling. But we can't call him Dumpling, what? Maybe because of his last name, I don't know. Or maybe it's insensitive, not that he ever gave a shit about sensitivity. Now, one thing about Jeff Taco Ortiz is that he used to drive around in his police cruiser drinking beer. Yeah. So, let's continue with this. First of all, that officer is drunk in public at this point, is he not? Yeah. You gonna arrest him for that? It's like being drunk in public is illegal in Boulder. It is not enforced against college students. It is enforced against the homeless. Anybody else can be drunk in public. Now, if you get drunk and belligerent, that's a different story. But the only people who are going to get in trouble for just being drunk are homeless people. And if you assholes in houses can drink, then you goddamn right, with the fucking hell that homeless people got to go through every fucking day, yeah, they should have the right to get completely sloshed off their fucking ass and drown that shit out. That's how most people in America deal with it. By getting fucked up on drugs and alcohol because they're too big of pussies to stand up to their own fucking government. Then again, if the government doesn't represent us, then is it our government? To those of you in the South who want to keep on posting up and being antagonistic, this is your president, whether you like it or not. There was a Democratic election. This is your president. And want to post up a bunch of pictures of Donald Trump. Well, I got to tell you something. You want to put that flag up there, right? That flag up there that belongs to a country that doesn't exist doesn't even belong to that country. It belongs to a battle regiment that served for that country, that got their asses whooped. Yeah, the North had a bigger population. They had a better infrastructure because their infrastructure was not based on slavery. I don't remember what the point of that all was, but at this point it don't matter. We're going to get back to this here video. Best parts are yet to come.
Over here, somebody above me, because he's already pushing his weight around with me, so.
Pushing his weight around. Now, one thing they're going to get into, something that you guys who, oh, there probably isn't anybody who's followed this from the beginning anymore. But if there is, you remember me talking about professional courtesy. You remember me talking about officers outright and blatantly breaking the law and their fellow officers, helping them to get away with it. How their loyalty is not to the American people, but to each other. Much like your family isn't loyal to the United States of America, they're loyal to each other. No matter how much you want to play patriot. This guy was drunk in public. He's the sheriff. He should have been arrested there. He should have been administered a breathalyzer there. They have already given him professional courtesy by this point. Twice. We aren't even that far into the video. Professional courtesy is something that, let's say a police officer pulls over a police officer and that other police officer is drunk, works for the same department, but he's drunk. Or maybe he works for a different department, but you know he's an officer. And you allow him to sleep it off in his vehicle. Or you let him go on his way. And you don't report it. That's called professional courtesy. It is also against the law. That's not the only type of professional courtesy. When you're in a small town, you get all sorts of professional courtesy. Big cities too. It's a professional courtesy from the medical facilities and medical establishment that if a police officer brings somebody in and says, hey, I want this guy diagnosed as fill in the blank, probably something similar to schizophrenia, because that allows them to get away with whatever they want. And these hospital staff give it to them. No questions asked. Or these officers call up these hospitals. We have seen these body cams repeatedly where these officers, they are not medical staff. Where they call up and they say, hey, we want you to give this guy the Greenbrier Special, which is another special name for a B-52, which is a special name for a chemical concoction that permanently alters your brain. It's highly dangerous. It will make many people schizophrenic. It makes a lot of people violent. It's also the source of much of my reasoning for agreeing with Natalie Bollinger having Joseph Michael Lopez shoot her in her head instead of going to a hospital for help or going to her family for help. If she goes to a hospital because she's suicidal over her predators and she tells on her predators, what are the chances that she's going to get injected with drugs instead of heard? They're pretty damn good. It's a much higher chance, though, if you're a male. People are far less tolerant if you do that to a female. That's social bias. Social bias. A lot of you guys are closet racists, but you're not racist in public. And some of you, you have opinions in public that aren't even yours. That girl you got a crush on, you want her to like you. You know she's into Mickey Mouse. So what do? You pretend you like Mickey Mouse. You might even buy her something that's got Mickey Mouse on it. That's not really your opinion. Or maybe your girlfriend. She's all for this Black Lives Matter stuff. And you're of the belief that all lives matter. But you don't want her calling you a racist. Now, when you think to yourself, all lives matters, you're thinking of Well, that white guy in Dallas, Texas who was killed. You're thinking about people like Demetrius Shankling and a whole bunch of other people that were killed by police. Corrupt police departments. Now, although the police get away with killing a lot of white people, we have to focus on the ones where the police were actually incarcerated. Well, we've got police actually being incarcerated right now for killing black people. But those black people didn't have to be rich to get that. You know who did? Demetrius Shankling. If Demetrius Shankling had been homeless, nobody would have given two shits. There wouldn't have been an investigation. They would have given each other professional courtesy.
I'm not pulling back.
Good lady.
I'm waiting for. I told Jeremy. Jeremy's calling from 911 now. But do you smell it, or am I the only one who smells it?
Please do something about it.
Right.
Mr. Chacon eventually surrendered to the officers and was taken into custody.
Please do something about it. Now, right there, that officer just told his fellow officer to do something about it. The man is drunk. So he told her to do something about it. I don't know if she did anything about it or not, but that is something that sheriff should have been administered a breathalyzer at that point in time.
During the standoff, Sheriff Lujan revealed to the Espanola officers that he had been communicating with Mr. Chacon while he was inside the home.
Mind you, they just zoomed to nighttime. It's nighttime there. There's that sheriff there. He hasn't been arrested. When the video first started, it was during the day. So they've been there a while.
And briefly attempted to convince the officers that Mr. Chacon was not actually in the house. Sheriff Lujan's strange behavior and unwelcome appearance garnered suspicion from the Espanola Police Department and culminated in the department filing official charges against Sheriff Lujan and securing search warrants for both the sheriff's personal cell phone and the phone issued to him by the sheriff's office. On the morning of May 14th, the Espanola PD attempted to serve those warrants at the Rio Arriba Sheriff's Office.
Now, this is the part where we get to start encountering all the things I've been speaking out about. Now, in this particular case, did they turn off their body cameras? No, the fuck they didn't. And thank goodness, rightly so. But after my experiences with the police, I find it highly doubtful that, because this is a police department arresting a sheriff. If it had been the other way around, I'm pretty sure that the police department would have done the same thing as the sheriff's department. In most cases. Now, mind you, they're going to start playing stupid. And I want you to listen to all of the BS that this sheriff who's being served a warrant goes through to try to prevent that evidence from getting into the hands of the police department. Me, I had the exact opposite problem. Yet the same exact one. And how is that? Well, I didn't have sheriffs or police officers trying to come and get my evidence from me and me refusing to give it to them. I was trying to take it to them and they were refusing to take it. But for the same reason as this sheriff. For the same reason. This sheriff is trying to hide his personal phones in this video. In my case with the sheriff here, He wasn't trying to hide his phones. He was trying to hide my evidence. Same as they did in Colorado. And we're able to do so by not turning on their body cameras. We don't need more laws making it more illegal to harm black people. We need enforcement of the laws that we already have. And body cameras, that is the one thing that I will push for the most. Body cameras, but not just for the police, also in medical facilities, also for CPS. We need to eliminate professional courtesy. Mind you, we're going to hear a lot about professional courtesy in here and about loss of evidence because of professional courtesy, and they're going to talk about it here like it's a bad thing. Meanwhile, I've had to go through this for 3 years. Professional courtesy. Professional courtesy by the blue line of bullshit extends across all jurisdictions in the United States. All of them. They don't have to even know the officer who's crooked. All that officer who's crooked has to do is charge you with assault against a police officer. And then drop the charges, because obviously it's a bogus charge, and if it goes to court and you're allowed to show evidence, he's going to be in fucking deep shit. These judges and lawyers are putting on a fucking face game. A face game. What's that? We'll make it look like we're trying to be helpful. Like when they try to pacify you with a fucking sandwich. Holy shit. And through this, you're going to hear some pacification techniques. You're also going to hear, well, the same tones of voice and the same slurring of speech that I had to deal with when officers were lying to me. And you say, how do you know those officers were lying to you? How do you know those officers were lying to you? Most autistic people pay attention to things that you will never notice ever in a million years. We have built-in lie detectors. With all of these people that I wanted to believe, shit, yes, I knew which ones were fucking lying to me. But I was desperate for help, and I had to tell myself, you gotta trust them. You gotta trust them. Everybody tells you you're probably wrong, so trust them. Fuck no. Fuck no. I trusted them for things that were taken away from me. I had to trust Aunt B across the street here for mail because, well, when Natalie died, I lost my apartment. I lost my income. And of course, they're not going to let you keep a mailbox without an address. And then there's the fact that I couldn't leave the state of Colorado after the assault by Waylon Lolatai. And all of his buddies, we're not talking about just the police. The sheriff's department took part in this too. Old people's homes, that's right. That one, this one typed, and old people's homes, body cameras. Too many weirdos enter that profession. Weirdos is one of those words where I love that word. See, when I think weirdo, I think of somebody who's strange, odd, warped, and different. When I think weirdo, I think queer. How queer? How strange? How odd? By the way, queer means strange, odd, warped, or different. When people told me I was weird growing up, they always wanted to say it as an insult. And I wore it as a badge of fucking pride. Hell yes, I'm a weirdo. No, I'm not like you. And I'm proud of that. I didn't come from a cookie mold. To all of those from the cookie mold, I will never be a moldy cookie. God broke the mold when he made me. He went, oh, fuck, what have I done? So let's get back to our video. Professional courtesy. You get to hear these officers playing stupid, and this guy talks through the whole thing about how these officers, just in a matter of few minutes of doing this, how they could be destroying evidence and changing things and exchanging things and moving things and destroying things. Meanwhile, they have given my predators 3 years worth of time to do that. One of the things that's important to note is that there's a group called The Real Justice for Natalie Bollinger, No Drama. That was started by Katie Cahill, and a lot of my predators and Katie's predators as well are on there. Natalie Bollinger's predators as well. I got a lady willing to talk to me right now, so I'm gonna actually end this. I'm sorry about that. I can pick it up later. I know how far along it is. So I'm gonna end this video.